Hi there, I'm Heather Gunther. It's an honor to be here with you. And when I was thinking about speaking with you today, especially that topic of transformation, a moment that came to mind was a pretty intense moment for me when I had a chance to begin a transformation that is continuing even to today. At that time in my life, I was in a master's program studying counseling, and I was overwhelmed. There was this expectation that we were to be always vulnerable, always crying, always processing, always trusting, always present. And it's not realistic. And it creates a lot of, or at least in me, a lot of self-judgment about who I was supposed to be in order to be right and supportive in the world. And it was painful because I would always come up short, always. We can never be completely regulated all the time. We can never be completely vulnerable all the time. Like, we have moments of humanity in bodies that are hard to be in lives that challenge us. And through my process, I was able to learn the importance of those moments because they signify growth. So while I was in this really challenging experience, I had the most incredible experience of getting to work with a therapist who is unlike anything else I'd ever experienced. And as shut down as I was feeling, as painful as it was, I decided to say yes and to work with Jake. And I was terrified. I'm in this big group of people. I don't feel particularly trusting. It feels really uncomfortable. And I said yes. And I had the opportunity to actually be held by Jake on my entire body, which is pretty big, right? I mean, as adults, we don't get that. We don't have the opportunity to be held. But Jake held me. And in holding me, I wept. I was able to sink down to core, in utero, young places that were in pain, that I'd never been able to heal or feel even before, until that moment of being held in that way. Have you ever had that experience? To be in someone's presence and you just could be. Now, the magic of that moment for me was that Jake is a horse. He's this big, beautiful horse, and I could be completely held by him. He didn't think once that I was too big, that I was too much, that I was too loud or too sad or too anything. Because when you weigh 1,500 pounds, you can handle stuff. Shit doesn't bother you, right? When you are that big and that grounded, you got it. You can face things because your nervous system is so dominant and so regulated that you have no choice but to be aware of your herd and for your herd to sync with you. And as humans, we sync with horses when we're with them. We actually become entrained. Our heart rate, our breath rate, our nervous system, all entrain with that of horses. And you can bring them any emotion, any vulnerability, any challenge, and they create that container, that 1,000-pound container in which you can feel and be with anything. And that's just one of the joys of being with horses. The other thing that people don't realize is that horses have the same hip structure as humans, which means that if you're on a horse, three things actually. The first is that they walk you. Someone else can literally walk your hips. And in doing that, you can open up your pelvis, your root chakra, and any trauma from early development or from sexual abuse. And while you're being walked by the horse, you're sitting on their heart chakra. Their heart is literally beating through your root and through your body, allowing you to know that you are loved and you are safe in every cell of your body. Can you guys feel that? Yeah. Because they have the same hip structure as humans, it is also the only time in which we are held the way we are held in the womb. We are literally moved the way our mothers moved. We are walked and loved. And if you didn't have that experience in the womb, you get to redo it. Yeah. Whew. I got goosebumps all over my legs with that one. So in addition to them being able to open us and them being able to entrain our nervous systems, they're not judging us. Have any of you ever felt judged? Have any of you judged yourself? Jake and the other horses that I work with, and the ones I haven't yet, they're not judging you. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what you say. They want to know, will you show up with me the way I'm willing to show up with you? Will you show up with me the way I'm willing to show up with you? How many people do you know who are willing to show up in that way with you? Yeah. It is a rare, unfortunately, but beautiful gift when someone is willing to show up and love you exactly as you are. The Mr. Darcys of the world, right? For any of those Bridget Jones fans. You are screwed up and wah! And I love you just the way you are. That is one of the most powerful pieces about working with horses, and why I offer retreats and coaching that involve the horse. Because I know that working with humans can be hard. Let's face it, you go to be in a counseling session or a coaching session or meet with someone. You don't know this person. You don't know what you're walking into. It's vulnerable, and there's a lot. And how different is that to imagine walking into a room with a beloved animal, with your puppy, with your kitty, with a horse. Someone who's going to love you and hold you infinitely. Infinitely. So when I work with people, I give them that opportunity for us to go to those deep places and those really high, profound places. And together, the horses and I work together as a team. So that whether you need that human connection or that animal connection, or you're ready to bridge the gap between the two, you have every resource you need to be able to move from the pain and the vulnerability and the judgment into that heaven, that presence, that power of loving yourself so completely the way that a horse will love you. And you can be the way that a horse can be. So some people ask me at this point, oh, I'm terrified of horses. I don't think that would work. And actually, I was too. And that's part of the joy of it. Because when you're scared and you walk into the presence of someone who loves you even in your fear, you know you can handle anything. Because when that changes and you go from feeling like, holy shit, I'm gonna die, to being able to lead an animal that could run you over and kill you in an instant, but who doesn't. When you can direct that much energy, you can do anything in your life. You can transform your business. You can transform your relationships. You can transform your families. Anything is possible when you have learned to face your fears, to be the leader you're here to be, and to direct that. So, how many of you would like to have that in your life? To be able to direct your life so completely. I'm hearing yes, 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 yes. And I'm just going, yeah. Well, I invite you, whether it's with me, whether it's with the horses that I work with whether it's a pasture and someone else's horses, or whether it's with your own dog, to consider the power of finding that leadership and that transformation with not just other humans, but with animals as well. And knowing that that will change and has the potential to change everything in your life. Thank you so much.